Hello, good morning. My name is Otero, and I'm going to present this new called The Importance of Nonverbal Communication in Instant Messaging. It was wrote by Erika Darix, and well, this is my project for corporate communication. So let's begin. First of all, we have the index, and I structure the presentation in introduction of the new communicating leadership goals in the virtual realm, grounded practical theory and interactional linguistics. That's the two theories used in this research. A fourth analysis, divided into relationally oriented strategies and transactionally oriented strategies, and a conclusion. So, introduction. Nowadays, communicating through the internet is very common, whether it is with email, social media, or instant messaging. But how are we capable of showing and sharing our real emotions with just words? We want others to take part of them, but without face-to-face interactions, this is much harder. Certainly, there aren't a lot of students about this issue. That's because this article that I choose tries to develop some kind of a structure in analyzing cues that we can use as a substitute of some nonverbal signs, not all of them. Moreover, this article centers the study on how managers communicate with workers in real life. It's a hierarchical communication. How can we improve techniques and how to create trust and respect by using them? One of the most important skills for a manager, as we all know, is knowing how to communicate with other people. So instead of leadership communication, as you can see, we can go further and talk about leadership and communication. So those are two different things that should cooperate in order to achieve good manager skills. So in this project, the author, Erika Darix, gives us an idea of how to combine transactional goals, those that are task oriented, and relational goals, those that have to do with motivation and collegiality, like people oriented goals. Okay, in point 2, communicated leadership goals in the virtual realm, we have that leading via the internet, as I said before, is way much harder than doing it face to face. So an effective leader should communicate regularly with its employees, but virtually this contact must occur more often in order to create a trusting and collegial working environment. Otherwise, an order doesn't should sound like a compliment, so the tone tends to be assertive most of the time. But how can we achieve the necessary positive yet assertive tone without the help of nonverbal communication and without face-to-face interaction? We have to take this in account. There are some cues that we can use to spread what we will say with gestures or with a look. And also, its absence can be compensated with constant verbal feedback. But what happens? Nevertheless, all of the things named previously take a lot of time compared with real-life interactions. So a leader should ensure that the use of virtual tools facilitates rather than hinders his work. This is too important. As a first step in nonverbal communication, in instant messages, we have to distinguish between two main parts, as we can see here: orthography, the importance of spelling, and typography, how to use punctuation and other symbols. Grounded practical theory and interactional linguistics. So, these are the two theories that Erika used in this project to analyze how managers and workers communicate with each other. So the grounded practical theory is one of the theories, as I said, used in this research and sees communication as a practical discipline and tends to improve communicative praxis through critical study. Its main assumption is that most practices are shaped by interactional dilemmas and that people have multiple and often conflicting goals. The other methodology used, as we can see, is interactional linguistics, which describe linguistic structures and meanings, paying attention to the social actions occurring meanwhile. So let's go further to the analysis. For this project, the author took various examples of real conversations via instant messaging between workers and managers. She divided the strategies used in that interactions into relationally oriented and transactionally oriented. So let's begin with the relationally oriented. In this strategy, leaders use word repetition, humor, and expressions like "you know" to emphasize the level of emotional involvement. Using an informal communicative style is also part of the strategy. What can also help to establish a good relationship with the employees is using emoticons or comic strip sounds in order to communicate emotions better. So as we can see here in the image, in the example, Caitlin in line 11 used a comic strip sound, or use all the conversation is in informal. So as we can see, this is real strategies. The next one is transactionally oriented strategies. For this strategy, it is used in order to mitigate the authoritarian tone in giving orders. The language used keeps formal, but you can add little cues so that the order is not that direct. Otherwise, the use of capital letters can reinforce superior hierarchical position, or can be used to make a joke and relax the audience. And last but not least, the use of utterance chunking. And what is this? So this consists on breaking up single utterance into several shorter components and sending them successively. This forces the worker to wait until its superior stops writing, taking control of his or her time. So as we can see in the first text, we have this example of utterance chunking, where the manager keeps sending orders and information, so that the worker has to read it all before replying. In excerpt 4, we have the capital letters example in line 3, as says Kaylee. So therefore, in conclusion, in summary, no simple recipe for leadership practice can be given. It is much more complex than simply using capital letters or so. We have to take into account all the contextual variables, okay? So virtual collaborations can only successfully function if the leader is able to resolve this miscommunication, adopt a positive interactional style, and facilitate a supportive working environment. Furthermore, more research is needed to barely understand how a virtual interaction should happen, because people are not taking care of the fact that virtual enterprises are the near future. Like it's real, it's a real concern. Understanding cues and knowing how and when to use them are now essential for every leader to avoid the existing miscommunication in these tools. So, to conclude, because of the ambiguity of the communicative skills, a leader should be trained on developing analytical skills and not only in acquiring strategies and formally and so on. Thank you so much, and this is all.